Today we are talking about eating for fat loss, plus what to do when weight loss stalls, and the guidelines to follow so that you can succeed no matter what. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, give this video a thumbs up, and let's jump in. I'm sure that you know the basic concept of calories in, calories out. If you're trying to lose weight, you have to eat less calories than you burn on a daily basis. And if you're trying to maintain your weight, then you're burning the same amount of calories that you eat. So that way you don't gain or lose any more weight. And I'm assuming you do not want to count calories for the rest of your life, because once you get your goal weight through counting calories, unless you've learned healthy habits and you understand how food works, you're gonna have to keep counting calories for the rest of your life in order to maintain your weight. And that sounds like no fun. I've counted calories in the past. Counting calories is zero fun. It's very tedious. It takes so much time, and most of us do not have the time or want to give up that time of our day counting calories every day for the rest of our lives. And we do not have to in order to lose weight. And that is exactly what I'm going to be teaching you guys today. It is actually all about micronutrients, not macronutrients. Macronutrients are your proteins, fats, and carbs. A lot of people track macros, and I'm not going to be talking about tracking macros. I'm going to explain macros a little bit. We'll talk about them a little bit, but that is not the focus. The focus is on micronutrients, which are vitamins and minerals, and vitamins and minerals balance your hormones, which we will also be talking about balancing hormones. So let's get into micronutrients and how we track them and how we make sure that we get all of them in a day. So you've probably heard the weight loss rule of 80-20 when it comes to diet and exercise. 80% of weight loss comes from your diet, 20% of weight loss comes from exercise. And I actually really believe in this ratio of diet to exercise, because you're eating all day long and you're only exercising for a small portion. Your diet is really what's going to control the overall fat body percentage that you have, and exercise is going to accelerate that. Exercise also shapes out your body, but predominantly your diet is what's going to control how lean you are or how thick you are. So I like this rule in terms of specifically when we're talking about diet as well. So we're going to push exercise off to the side. We'll talk about it a little bit, but today's mostly about food. So I like to use the 80-20 rule when it comes to food as well. So I like to think of diet as 80% whole foods and 20% processed foods. I'm assuming you know what whole foods are. I've talked about this in past videos, and I'm going to link some of those down below in the description. A whole food is a single ingredient. It comes from the earth. It's natural. For the most part, whole foods are in their unaltered state. So now we're moving into the 20% of our daily diet of processed foods. And again, I like to break this down into an 80-20 again. So 80% of our processed foods should be healthy processed foods, and then 20% is going to be pure junk. When it comes to healthy processed foods, these foods originate from whole food sources, but they've been broken down into a convenience food, and they usually contain multiple ingredients. Now let's move into the pure junk category. These are foods that we ideally should never eat. However, let's live life and have a little bit of fun and allow yourself to include these into your diet. Unless you have a serious problem, then I would just suggest never buying them. There's so many different foods on the market. It's hard for me to just give you an all-encompassing list of every category that you should be eating. Whole foods are pretty easy to distinguish, but when it comes between healthy processed foods and junk, the junkiest junk of processed foods, basically we're looking at, for healthy processed foods, we want them to come from mostly real sources of food. So read the nutrition labels. And then the pure junk, if it's like fake food, you can tell it's fake food if it says like red number 40, yellow number 3. I forget what the numbers are, but I know that they add those colors in there. Aspartame, like just all of these fake ingredients that are in your food should ideally not be going in your body. You just got to read the labels and figure out what is what. By eating predominantly whole foods, we're fulfilling most of our micronutrient needs, but we do need some processed foods in our diet because we cannot get absolutely everything we need from whole foods. And this is mostly due to modern agriculture. Our soil is pretty depleted from B12. Even animals are now injected with a B12 shot, which is why people who eat animals still get their B12 and why plant-based eaters need to take B12. We are not out in the sun as much anymore, which is why they fortified with vitamin D, because everyone's either afraid of the sun or we're spending all day indoors because we're on our computers all day long. So we're just not getting enough, or it also depends on where you live, depending on how much sunshine you get in a day. And a lot of people don't have proper diets because we've moved into this processed food focused, convenient food focused lifestyle, because we live in a very busy world now. We don't have the time always to make our food. So that is the benefit of eating processed foods, is having those added vitamins, because our agricultural system has depleted some of the natural nutrients and because of our lifestyle. Guideline number 2 is to eat in every food category. So we're talking about fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, grains, legumes, and beans. And then optionally, animal protein. So animal protein is something that we can actually live without. It's a choice that you can make or not make. The reason why we want to eat in every food category is because each category contains a different set of micronutrients. So in order to meet all of our micronutrients, we need to eat in every single category. And I'm going to show you how this works so that you can see it for yourself. It's pretty cool. So we'll get into that a little bit more. And then the third guideline is to eat the rainbow. The same reason for this one is because different colors contain different micronutrient levels. And this is more so toward fruits and vegetables. So different colors of fruits and vegetables. So we literally want to eat something that's red, orange, yellow, green, and then I like to group blue and purple together because there's not a lot of blue and purple plants on this planet, at least not the common ones that we find. The fourth guideline is to figure out what meal proportions and foods make you feel your best. So this is going to tell you whether you prefer a higher protein diet, a higher fat diet, or a higher carb diet. And then when it comes to carbs, whether you prefer starchy carbs or sugar carbs. And by sugars, I don't mean like cane sugar. I mean sugars from fruits and vegetables. Starches typically come from things like grains and legumes. And even grains and legumes can feel quite a bit different in your body. You have to kind of start to pay attention to which foods make you feel your best. But as long as you're eating within these categories, figuring out what proportions, like how much of each ingredient make you feel your best. This is going to take a bit of experimentation. You're going to have to figure out what works for you because everybody's different. And this also is dependent on your goals. So if you're going to the gym and you are lifting weights and every week you're lifting heavier and heavier, you need to up your protein. Briefly, I'm going to explain macronutrients and how balanced meals work. So macronutrients contain your proteins, your fats, and your carbs. Now, when you eat on a micronutrient focused diet, you're eating in every food category, you are going to be getting enough of proteins, fats, and carbs. It's just how food works. Every food contains a different level of proteins, fats, or carbs. Some contain all three, some contain only one. Animal products animal products only contain proteins and fats. Usually, depending on the type of animal, the fat content can vary wildly. And then when it comes to plants, typically they have all three, but certain plants have more protein or more fats, and then some have more carbs, some have more sugars, some have more starches. So it's just dependent. And if you don't know any of this, I'm going to show you how you can learn easily on your own how to do this. Or just how to know this information. It's going to become quite easy to you if you take the time to track your micronutrients for a little while. When you're selecting all of your foods, you are going to be getting fats, carbs, and proteins in your diet automatically, and they usually balance out pretty well on their own. And I'll show you how you can adjust it to fit your needs. So if you don't know anything about calories and how calories work, every food, you can measure it out in a gram. So each gram of carbs contains 4 calories. Each gram of protein contains 4 calories. The only one that's different is fats, which contain 9 calories. So whether you eat 100 grams of carbs or 100 grams of protein, you are still getting 400 calories each. So you're getting 400 calories in carbs, or you're getting 400 calories in protein. Now, carbs digest at a very fast rate. So when you consume something that is just purely carbs, it goes through your digestive system really quick, which means you're taking in that, say, for example, if you eat 100 grams of carbs, you're consuming those 400 calories super quick, versus the protein. If you have 100 grams of protein, that 400 calories is digesting a lot slower, which means you're going to be fuller for longer. Carbs, though, have their benefit. One, a lot of carbs contain tons of micronutrients that our body needs. And of course, it's best to get that naturally, which is why we eat carbs. Carbs are also beneficial for people who like cardio, are super active, and you need that quick burning calories for your workouts. When you take, we'll add fats in a second, but when you take, say if you were to just cut that in half and you were to combine those two, so now you're taking 50 grams of carbs and 50 grams of protein, combining that together, now your carbs are digesting at a slightly slower rate with your protein, meaning you're getting a steady stream of energy, and you're gonna stay fuller for longer, especially if your carbs and or your protein contain fiber. Then when you add in fats, so fats have 9 calories per gram. So just because it has 9 calories per gram does not make them unhealthy. Fats are incredibly important for your diet. It's incredible for balancing hormones. Again, I will explain that briefly. So now when you add in fats into your meal, fats are the slowest digesting macronutrient. So if you have 50 grams of carbs, 50 grams of protein, and 50 grams of fat, make that into a meal, and I'm just saying 50 grams just as an example, you are getting a super slow digesting meal that you are not going to be hungry for a while, which means less snacking on convenient junk food because you don't feel deprived. And also when it's a whole food, you're getting all of your micronutrients, your body is getting what it needs. Again, you don't feel deprived. This is basically the science behind eating. When you're eating whole foods and you're making sure your meals are balanced, you are basically satisfying what your body needs. This is why I like to focus on micronutrients, because it's super simple to then eat a balanced meal. It just does it on its own when you follow all of those guidelines that I was talking about, just eating in every food category and making sure to eat the colors, eating mostly whole foods with like a minimal amount of processed foods. Naturally, your meals then become balanced in macronutrients and you're meeting all of your micronutrients. Typically, when you focus on macronutrients, a lot of people on different diets, it depends, this happens a lot though, when you focus on one macronutrient, a popular one is protein. Typically, you are eating just a lot of animal proteins or protein powders, which means you are not going to be meeting your micronutrients because you need to eat all of those other foods in order to fulfill that. And your body ends up feeling deprived. You feel hungry. You want to snack on convenience junk food. It's really hard to diet that way. It's not sustainable. Same thing with like the keto diet. Your focus is heavily on fats and you're then missing out on the benefits that carbs provide and protein provides. I know that's controversial. I know I might get comments on that. But it's simply the way that food works. We need to eat a wide variety of plant foods. This is also great for your gut. We cannot stick to one food and expect to live a long, healthy life. It's simply not sustainable. Something is going to malfunction. And that brings me to the point of hormones. We would not survive without hormones. Our hormones control everything that happens inside of our body. They are messengers throughout our entire body, controlling and coordinating all of its activities. So when hormones are out of balance, this is when things like disease and cancer start to happen. And the best way to keep your hormones in balance is by getting all of your micronutrients. Again, I'm gonna show you this in a second in our example, but this is why you need to eat everything, because you need to get all of your micronutrients in order to keep your hormones balanced, which then keeps your body functioning properly. And when your body functions properly, that's what leads to weight loss. You are able to maintain a healthy weight, and you no longer have to struggle with your appetite because certain hormones help control your appetite level. This is literally just how life works, and it's really, really cool once you figure it out. All right, so now I'm gonna take you over to my computer and we are going to run through this free app that anyone can use. You don't have to pay for it. And I'm gonna show you exactly how this works, and you're just gonna see how cool it is. So let's jump into that. Here we are on chronometer.com. All you have to do is sign up for an account. It's free and you're good to go. This is the main page where we're going to be adding in all of our ingredients, but let's just go over here to settings really quick. So you can go in here in your profile, you can add in your personal details. This is the targets tab that I'm on currently. I have this set up here like this because of a couple of the meal plans that I was planning in the past, but personally, I don't care about this area. The only thing I really pay attention to is my protein, because I do lift weights and I exercise a lot, but most people aren't going to need to pay attention to that. Then you can come down here into the nutrient targets. If you have anything that you specifically need, say your doctor says you need to pay attention to your beta carotene, you can come over here, check that, and make sure that displays on the main diary page. You can also come up here into the display settings. And again, if your doctor says you need to pay attention to a certain nutrient because of your genes, maybe you need a higher amount of calcium, you need to pay attention to that. So you can set up your highlighted nutrient targets, which also shows up on your diary page. So I don't really have these set up for a specific purpose. The only thing I think that I changed is the B12. I may have changed some others, but honestly, I don't pay attention to that. I don't have any specific needs. So let's just go over to the diary page and let's just start adding in nutrients. So we are going to follow our guidelines. We are going to first start with whole foods. And in the whole foods, we are going to fill in all of our food categories, and we're also going to make sure we get all of our colors. So let's start with fruits and vegetables, and we're going to go through the rainbow. But first, hang on, let me just show you down here. When you scroll down, this is where you're going to see everything start to fill up. So you have this is just going to tell you the total calories that you're consuming, your carbohydrates, how much fiber you're getting, how much starches of how much starchy carbs, how much sugar carbs, and then your net carbs is the total of your carb count minus fiber, and that's what net carbs are, because fiber isn't really digested and you don't really get calories from fiber. Fiber just helps, regulate your bowel movements. Super important. And then we have our fats. So we want to fill up our omega-3s, omega-6s, and then we have our total protein count. And then all of these are the amino acids that make up protein. And then over here we have vitamins and minerals. Again, this is all about your hormones. So you will see in here, you can actually look at all of these little details. You can highlight over these and you can see what it does for your body. So some of these actually talk about how it regulates your hormones. So like B5, if you look at the second sentence here, B5 is used to make some hormones like melatonin, a hormone involved in your sleep-wake cycle. Sleeping is very important for your hormones. So this is going to tell you everything that you need to know. If you're very curious about this, you don't need to take a nutrition course. You can just come down here and figure out what all of this stuff does for your body and why it's so important to keep you healthy. And then you also have your minerals right in here. So let's go ahead and add in our ingredients. So let's start with a color red, because we're going to go through the rainbow. We're going to start with red, and let's pick a fruit. So we're going to do strawberries. So let's pick usually the first option is the whole food option, typically, not always. Obviously, we do not want dried. We don't want it canned in syrup. We don't want it covered in chocolate, okay? You could do frozen if you want, but I'm going to just choose the raw option. So I'm just going to stick with their standard serving, their preset, what they have here. So a cup of strawberries that are cut in halves. So let's go ahead and add that. So we've got red. Now let's pick some orange. So we're going to do some sweet potatoes. And then you can have your option here, bake, boiled, raw. Let's go ahead and pick the raw option. So pre-baked. Actually, let's just pick the baked option. Let's pretend we baked it and say we ate a large sweet potato. Sure. Something to note here too is that when you're looking at these foods, so if I typed in sweet potato again, these measurements are not always the same. Sorry, my memory on my storage is so packed, so everything's moving a little bit slow. So this says 235 grams for a large sweet potato, and then if I go to raw, if I go to large, change the option to large, 204 grams. So it's going to be slightly different in the calories. So Chronometer is not a perfect system, so you're going to see that different levels or different options have different levels, and there's different drop downs. So you just kind of got to pay attention. It's not a perfect system, but it's a great guide just to see how everything's going to pan out. So we've got our sweet potato in there. So we got red, orange. So now let's add yellow. Let's choose a banana. Okay, so let's put a banana in there. A raw banana, please. And a medium size, we're just going to leave that. You can choose different sizes if you want. Let's just do medium. Add that in there. Now let's pick a green. So when it comes to green, I actually like to pick 3 green items. So let's first do an avocado. Let's pick this first option here. Add that in. I'm going to eat a whole avocado. Why not? And then let's do some kiwi. Pick this guy. That's my dog shaking, by the way. Okay, 2 kiwi. Let's go ahead and add that in there. And then let's do some romaine lettuce. Okay, our third green option. And let's do 2 cups. We like to pack out the greens. Okay, so now we just filled in our fruits and vegetables. We got red, orange, yellow, 3 greens. Oh, we got to pick purple. So let's do a beet. Beet, beet, beet. Let's do a boiled and drained beet. Sure. Okay. Yeah, let's just do a 2-inch diameter one. We just have 1 beet. So we have all of our colors. So now let's go down and just see what this did. So that took up 700 calories. I don't care about calories. And look at all of this stuff that it filled in. Even the protein. So for people who are like, you can't get protein from plants, here's the proof. This is just fruits and vegetables, by the way. The plants that no one thinks has any protein content in there. But we're fulfilling this. So here, right here, I have set up here in my protein count, 100 grams of protein is my target. So that's why it's saying that only 13% has been taken up. So it's 13 grams of protein. So only 13% of 100% is taken up. But when you actually look at the amino acids, look at how filled these amino acids are. So if you set your protein content to let's just go into the settings and let's just do that. Say that my target for protein is what the standard, like if I didn't work out as a female, 46 grams of protein. Let's go back into the diary and see how much protein percentage that technically fills up, 28%. Okay, so we're fulfilling 28% of our protein requirements just through fruits and vegetables. Over here, we've already fulfilled some mineral requirements, copper, manganese, and potassium. We've fulfilled our vitamin K. We've fulfilled our vitamin C, our vitamin A, our B6, and our B5. We've overdone our fiber. Now, this is the other amazing thing about whole foods. You don't need to take a fiber supplement. This is why people who choose to cut out plant foods out of their diet are missing out, because you need to go to the bathroom. Fruits and vegetables, nuts, seeds, grains, legumes, these are all really important for your digestive system, and you need natural fiber. You don't need to take fiber supplements. It's all in our plant foods. You just don't need it. So just eat real food. And then again, so you see this, you're like, oh my gosh, we're already at 130 grams of carbs. But because of all of this fiber content, we actually are still under 100 carbs that actually count for calories. So, okay, let's move on to the next category. So we've got all of our fruits and vegetables, and now let's do some nuts and seeds. So let's go ahead and add in some walnuts. Walnuts are an amazing nut. So let's do some walnuts, and let's just add in, we're not going to eat a whole cup because that's a lot. So let's just do a 1/4 cup. Add that in. Okay, I don't care. Okay. And then let's go ahead and add in a seed. So let's do a sunflower seeds. Let's just do some raw sunflower seeds. And let's do 2 tablespoons. Okay. So now come back down really quick just to check it out. Bum, 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 bum. Now we're almost at 50% of our protein. Fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, 50% of the standard for females. Let's actually just go ahead back in the settings and let's just bump it up to the males. So if you're a male and you do not work out, you only need around 56 grams of protein. Diary. Let's go back. Check out the protein. Okay. Sorry, my computer's so slow right now. Okay. So 38% of your protein is taken care of. Okay, so now we've added nuts and seeds and we're filling these out even more. Our omega-3s are totally filled out. We've got tons of omega-6, tons of omega-3. Okay, now let's just move on to the next category, which is our grains and legumes. So let's start with, let's do some black beans. Black beans are pretty good. So we can just stick with a cup. Let's just go ahead and add that. And let's do, for a grain, let's do some rolled oats. Come on. And sure, let's just have a cup. And then let's do some quinoa too. And let's do cooked. And let's do a cup of cooked quinoa. Okay, so now we have fruits, vegetables, nuts and seeds, grains, and legumes. All right, now let's go down and check it out. If my computer will ever move. So here we go. All we did was add in all of our categories, all of our colors. And for females, we would already hit our protein requirement if you're a female who does not work out. For males, we would just need a little bit more. But this is the important part. Look at our amino acids. We are filled out on all of our amino acids. We haven't added in a single animal in here, and it's filled to the brim. Sodium is not really something you need to be adding an excessive amount into your diet. So you can add some salt to your meals when you make your meals if you want, especially when you're eating whole foods. We got all of these are filled out: zinc, potassium, phosphorus, manganese, magnesium, copper. So we need to up our iron a little bit. We need to up our calcium. So we've fulfilled all of our whole food requirements. So now is where we go in and we add in some fortified processed foods in order to, fill out the rest of this where we're missing. But we've got most of our B vitamins filled. We are not getting any B12 because, again, like I said, on a plant-based diet, you can't really get that from your plant foods. So let's go ahead and fill the rest of these up with our processed food section. Vitamin D comes from the sun or fortified foods, so that's why it's at 0%. Okay, let's go ahead and add in some, oh yeah, one thing I wanted to point out, hang on. If you go down here, selenium. Selenium is something, I mean, we do have it actually pretty filled out, but selenium is not found very heavily in a lot of foods. So one thing, if your selenium is low, the best thing that you can have on hand all the time is Brazil nuts or our Brazil nuts. So let's just go ahead and I'll show you. So I'm just going to do one Brazil nut. Okay. Add one nut. And our selenium is off the charts. We don't need to consume a ton of selenium. We really don't need a lot, but it's super, super important for our immune system. So like here, you can just see the function. Selenium is involved in your antioxidant defense system to prevent cell damage. It helps your thyroid hormones, which help regulate growth, development, body temperature, and metabolic rate. So this is why it's so important to eat real foods. This is like the perfect example. If your body functions properly, you will function properly. You'll be happier. You'll be healthier. You'll be leaner. You'll lose weight. Okay. Next, we wanted to fill our B12. So, and our calcium and our vitamin D. So those were low. Those three ingredients are included all the time in milks. So let's go ahead and do some Oatly oat milk, which is my favorite. Don't auto change that. Oatly. Okay. Oatly oat milk. We're going to do, let's add in a cup. I am going to add a little bit more because I'm pretty sure this isn't going to fulfill everything. But anyway, so B12, 50% is filled up now. We got a little vitamin D in there from there. And then calcium has been bumped up a bit. So you can see 35% of the calcium intake comes from Oatly. So there you go. That helped fill up that. And then for our B12, I also like to add something like nutritional yeast. So let's do, I like Anthony's nutritional yeast. Bragg's is fine too. I do either of those. Those are just the brands. And this serving size is 2 tablespoons, but let's just do half. We don't need that much. So let's just go in and add that. And now our B vitamins are off the charts. Like we could even cut that back and do like a 1/4 teaspoon or something. You know what? Let's just bump that down even more because we just don't need it. So let's just do half a tablespoon. There you go. Now it's at not alarming rates, but so our vitamins are nearly done. So all we did was we ate mostly whole foods and we added in 2 fortified ingredients, and we have met all of our vitamin requirements. Vitamin D, go out in the sun or take a supplement. That's all you need to do. Vitamin E, we're nearly there. I don't care that I hit 100%. We're basically there, and every day is not going to be perfect. That's fine. Now we can go down to our minerals. Again, I don't care about sodium. Iron's a little low and calcium's a little low. So we can see if we can bump those up. Now we can come over to our protein. Again, all of our amino acids are already taken care of. We can up our protein based on our needs, but for most people, that's going to be fine. My fat content, my fat is set pretty high in my settings, which is why it says 73% is, so it's not fulfilled, but that's just because of my settings. So you just need to go in and fix that. But we're getting plenty of fats. We don't need to have any more than that if you don't want to, unless you prefer eating more fats, then that's fine. Your net carbs are about 200 or just under that. And your calories are only 1,700 calories, which is like great for most people. So now is where you'd go in, and if you want to up your protein, this is really easy. You can just add some type of protein if you want to eat animal protein, or if you're vegan like me and you want to do vegan. Let's just go in and I'm going to do my favorite protein powder, Newzest. So let's see, let's just do some vanilla protein powder, 2 scoops, sure. Let's add that in, and now we can go back down and see what that did. So now our iron is all the way up. because the Noose's protein powder has iron in it. Let's see, does it have any calcium in it? No. This is also, did I point this out already? I don't know, but you can hover over these and see where the nutrients are coming from. This is literally like a little crash course that you can do for 2 weeks to just learn about food. And it's just really, really cool. So now my protein, because I have my targets set to only 56 grams of protein, but 70 grams of protein is great. And you can up that if you're really lifting heavy and you need that extra protein, you just keep adding some more protein in. Let's go ahead and add some. So like 1,800 calories, I eat more than that a lot. So I'm going to just go ahead and actually add in some tofu because maybe I want to up my protein even more. So let's do some, actually, I love Wildwood high protein tofu. So let's see what pops up right here. This is my favorite protein. So a fifth of a piece of protein, that's 1 serving. So typically I eat like half a package of high protein, but let's just stick with 1 serving size for now. So we're under 2,000 calories. Okay, here we go. Our protein is up again. You know what? I'm going to up that. I'm going to do 2 servings of that. All right, here we go. So 2,000 calories, that's pretty average of like, I think that's kind of like how much I eat. I'm not really 100% sure. Our calcium's almost at 100%. Our protein's almost at 100 grams of protein. Like, do you see how easy this is and how amazing this is? So this is where you can go in. This is so long, by the way. I'm so sorry it's so long, but I just get so excited about this. And I know I said I was going to run through different options, but this is just so long. So if you want me to kind of explore this more, just let me know. Like if you have a specific diet you want to do, I can do a video on like specifically, you know, like different variations of different stuff. I don't know, whatever you want. But like, this is just an example. So let's go back and like actually make a meal really quick. So let's do oatmeal, like kind of based off of what we said. Like say you added, okay, let's do rolled oats. And let's just do this. And we're going to add in that cup. Then we're going to go in, let's see, we did walnuts, right? So let's do walnuts. And we're going to do, let's just say we did 1/4 cup. Okay, and then let's do our strawberries. And we're going to add that in. What else did we do? And let's do Oatly. And let's just do 1/2 cup in our oats. And you know what? Let's go ahead and add some cinnamon because herbs, just throw herbs in your food as you please. A teaspoon, that's a lot. Let's do 1/4 teaspoon. And then, so let's see, strawberry, cinnamon, oats. I mean, that's pretty good. What other things do we have? We had seeds. Okay, let's just save that because, so breakfast, basically you're making this is kind of like how you make a meal. So we have oats, nuts, we have a fruit in there, we have our fortified milk, and we have some cinnamon for flavor. And there's your meal number 1 based off of what we just did on the other day. And that fulfills a ton of requirements already. Then you can go in and say for like a snack or like maybe you worked out after breakfast. Now you're going to go in and you're going to add in your protein powder. Like you're going to make a protein shake, but maybe you want it with some, come on. Okay. Add that in. We're going to do 2 scoops and let's say we added that banana in. Let's do our yellow fruit. We want a banana. And then also in our smoothie, we're going to add, you know what? Let's do our kiwis in here. The kiwi that we ate. So we're going to do our 2 kiwis. This is a good smoothie. All right. So we have our protein powder. Oh, yeah. And then let's add our other, let's do Oatly again. We're going to add some milk in there. Do the 1/2 cup. And then we blend that all together. So here's our breakfast. Here's our post-workout protein shake. So our protein powder, by the way, I have a discount code for Newsist if you want it. I'll put that link down below in the description. And we're going to blend that with bananas, kiwi, and some oat milk. And there's our other smoothie. So you can see like how you make these into meals. Like you don't have to plan it out like I'm doing. This is just purely for tracking, just to see like how amazing this is to see all of your micronutrients add up. And then of course you want to obviously keep in mind any dietary restrictions, if you have any allergies. This is like how you make your meals essentially. Just make them colorful, make them from whole foods. So I'm just not going to add them all in, but essentially like what these meals turn out to be is everything that we added in here. I hope I'm explaining this well. This is going on so long. This video is off the charts long. I'm so sorry. But again, I can go through this in another form or fashion, but this is what you want. This is how you want your days to look like. And okay, I'm just going to end it here because this is too long. Now, this is something that I recommend doing only for a couple weeks just to get the hang of it. You can do it as long as you want, but you really don't need to use this for the rest of your life. Once you get these habits down and you just know and practice, and this will become intuitive to you. You don't have to do this forever. You will just always know how to make a meal. And that's what's really cool about these guidelines. So next, something else I wanted to talk about was when weight loss stalls. So I know some people get to a certain point and they're like, I'm just not losing any more weight. So there's two things you can do. First one is, again, with diet, you might need to start messing around with different proportions that you're eating, maybe more grains, maybe more proteins, maybe more fats, maybe you're just not eating the right proportion, or maybe you're not really following along with a lot of these guidelines and you kind of need to come back and reevaluate your diet. Next is if you are not adding exercise, you need to add in exercise. Exercise is so important. It is another thing that helps balance your hormones, especially things like high intensity workouts. So if you are already working out, but you're just doing the same thing over and over and over again, you need to start upping your intensity or potentially trying something new. So when people do HIIT style workouts, this actually is an appetite suppressant. There's a hormone that gets released that actually suppresses your appetite. A lot of times when people first work out, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so hungry, or they mentally think, oh, I can eat whatever I want now. And that's usually what leads to weight gain because they think they can eat so much or they're hungry initially, but that over time decreases. So your hunger, your hormones end up balancing out, and over time you are not as hungry anymore. High intensity workouts, like I said, release a certain hormone that ends up suppressing your appetite. I sometimes come home from the gym, especially after my super intense workouts, I'm not hungry. I sometimes don't eat for an hour or two. And I don't get concerned about it. I don't feel like I have to take protein right away. I've never had an issue. I literally just listen to my body and follow these guidelines. So those are my two suggestions when weight loss stalls. So check your diet, up your intensity of your workouts. And now my final points before this ends. It's getting really dark, so I'm just using natural light to film this right now. My final points are to, instead of, this is really like food focused, but I just want to say, make sure to drink water. It's another thing that is really overlooked. Build up the habit of drinking water, especially over things like energy drinks and sodas, any of that stuff. Just drink water. That's the best thing that you can do. If you're eating a predominantly whole food diet, you are getting a lot of water content from your food, but you should also still be drinking water on top of that. And lastly is to be consistent. If you are doing this for a week and you expect to get your results, or even for a month and you expect to have your final results, that's just simply not going to be the case. These are guidelines to follow lifelong so that you never have to go on a diet again, and you will achieve the results that you want. You just have to be consistent. So I just encourage you, just do it. It doesn't mean you can't eat the fun foods that you love. Like I explained, you can do the 80-20 type of rule, and you can eat some of those junky foods. Sometimes you'll end up eating more junky depending on like the occasion, or you just have a bad week, all you have to do is come back to these guidelines and jump right back into it. You will find out that this is really easy to follow, and you will love it so much more than potentially the position that you're in right now, where you might not be feeling too great and you really want to change your life. This is not a quick fix diet. This is a lifelong way to live. So I hope this is helpful. I hope it was understandable. I hope I communicated it well. And if not, you can ask me questions down in the comments. If there's anything you want me to expand on, just let me know down in the comments, and I will hopefully be able to make some videos on it. And yeah, so that is all. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.